First of all, I want to apologize to all of you for the barrage of ads that you're seeing, and I wish I could say they're going to end, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. And this is the world we live in. And if you're a senator for 18 years and you do not have a record to run on, not a record of accomplishment, but also a record that has become radically liberal and weak, which is what Senator Casey's record has been, then the way that you try to win the election is you spend all your money trying to take down a challenger. That's what's happening to me. So I want to give you all a menu. The ads that say I'm awesome are my ads. Okay? I want you to all know that. I want to put that on the table. The other ads are that other lying son of a you know what. And that's the world we live in. These are horrible negative ads. Abortion is the ad that the Democrats are running across the country because it works so well in 2022. And again, it's an issue when you have a wide open border and an inflation that's destroying the economic lives of 60% of Pennsylvanians who live paycheck to paycheck, when you have crime, violent crime going up in Philadelphia and coming into the suburbs, when you have a war on fossil fuels. That's what you run on. And so I felt a need to respond to that. And so my view on abortion is that it's a very polarizing issue. I'm a father of 6 daughters. You can imagine, we've talked about this. We need to find common ground. We need to find common ground on this issue. My view is it should be a state's right, because the people that vote should get to decide on this issue. It's so polarizing and so honestly so different by region. They should get to decide. We have a law in Pennsylvania. The law was supported by Republicans and Democrats alike. It was signed into law by a guy named Casey. Governor Casey, Senator Casey's father, signed this into law. And so we have a law in Pennsylvania. That law is not going to change. My view is we should support 3 exceptions: rape, incest, life of the mother, and I do. My view is that I would not support in any way national legislation or a national ban. And so my position is a common ground position. And Senator Casey has signed legislation that would allow abortion in the 3rd trimester, 7th, 8th, and 9th month, and that would have federal funding for it. That's the legislation he signed. So no one has changed their position more on the issue of abortion in the Senate than Senator Casey. So that's my position, and that's a position that you gotta go from your heart and what you believe. That's a position I think most Pennsylvanians can get comfortable with, and that's the position I continue to hold if I was in the Senate. Can I make one other point?
Sure, of course.
Thank you. The other thing I want to say is, beyond the question of abortion, I do think there's a whole series of things we should be talking about regarding reproductive rights. And when I was a CEO, one of the things I dealt with a lot was fertility treatment. And I had, it was 1,200 employees or something like that. Half of them were women. And for women that stayed in the workforce, particularly a little bit longer, they would often have trouble having children. And so they would need fertility treatment, IVF, to be able to have kids. And sometimes it would take multiple times because it didn't always work. It's very expensive. So fertility treatment is kind of like school choice. The people who actually have money have school choice, and people who have money can afford fertility treatment. But if you're someone who's not making that much money, $25,000 after tax on multiple occasions for fertility is just, it makes it impossible to have kids. And we have a problem in our country where we're not having enough children, our families are not growing. We need to continue to support families in a variety of ways, which I can tell you how I do that, but support for IVF is one of them. So I proposed a tax credit where every person that gets IVF should have a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 tax credit that they could apply to IVF. So it's not just on the people that have money that have the opportunity to have children. So we need to expand the conversation on what reproductive rights means. So it goes beyond abortion. It's a wide availability of contraception. It's support for adoption services. It's fertility treatment. I think that's the kind of agenda that our voters
So Dave, it seems that in the last couple of weeks, Kamala Harris finally discovered, someone must have shown her a map or something, that we actually have a border, or at least we call it a border. The issue of immigration is obviously front and center in this campaign. That ties in directly to something which I know you're very passionate about, which is fentanyl and the drug epidemic. I know you've been to Kensington. I know you've seen what's happening, not just in the Commonwealth, but around the country. You have a very powerful ad that I saw on TV from a sheriff who lost a child to fentanyl. Bob Casey has been AWOL in this issue, both on border security and on the drug issue. Talk about what you'll do about this in the United States Senate.
Yeah, I mean, the border is, it's almost remarkable. The more you learn every day, the more remarkable it seems this memo from ICE saying that we had consciously let 13,000 convicted murderers into the country, 15,000 convicted rapists. This is from the sitting director of ICE working in the Biden-Harris administration, acknowledging that 28,000 convicted murderers and rapists came across our borders with the knowledge that they were in fact that when they came in. We've lost any rationale of common sense. I was reading this thing about Ronald Reagan the other day, and it was Ronald Reagan's comments after he won the election in 1980. Someone referred to it as the Reagan Revolution. He said, "I never thought of my election as a revolution. I thought of it as a rediscovery of common sense." This election is a rediscovery of common sense, and the border is the most vivid example of where we've lost any common sense. We have 10 million, at least, illegal immigrants that have entered our country. We just see the data on convicted murderers and rapists. More than 200 apprehended last year were on the terrorist watch list. We see how it's ravaging communities because the toll on public services is enormous when you have 10 million new non-citizens burdening the social systems. But then on top of that, the crime is significant and tied to people coming into the country in a way that is completely undermining our communities.
All right, thank you for being here.
Okay. These are my good friends.
All right.
The Jewish community. Go ahead.
How are you? Nice to see you. Thank